Hello everyone. After destroying my old HP printer, here I have with me a motor connected with an incremental rotary encoder. After reverse engineering it with the help of multimeter, I was able to find the pin nodes of the encoder sensor. Though I could not find this part anywhere on the web, but found the closest similar component. That is a transmissive sensor which includes an infrared emitter and two phototransistor detectors, which are located face to face. The main idea of rotary encoder is to determine both direction, count, and speed. When the disk with equally placed opaque slots is rotated, the adjacently placed phototransistors generates two square waves, which we can use it to measure speed, direction, and also count the number of rotations. On powering the motor with 12 volts and connecting the sensor to logic analyzer, I observed these two square waves on two output channels. They have some phase difference between them. The direction of the rotation can be determined by looking which channel signal is leading. Here you can see when the motor is moving in the clockwise direction, channel 0 leads, while for the anti-clockwise direction, channel 1 leads. While the number of rotations can simply be determined by counting pulses, speed can be found by calculating the frequency of the pulse. Now let's go beyond breadboard and interface the sensor with the microcontroller. I have used STM's ARM M4 controller to read these pulses just by using internal timers. Configuring timers is always the most difficult task. To simplify that, we can use STM's CubeMX to generate all the configuration code for us. Here, after choosing my controller, I have adjusted the APB1 to be clocked at 16 MHz. Luckily, the STM32 general purpose timers provide a convenient way to read the rotary encoders. This mode is indeed called encoder mode. It simplifies lot of capture process. I set the timer 1 to run in encoder mode, which will enable two timer input channels. When the timer is configured in encoder mode, the timer counter register is incremented or decremented on the edge of input channel. There are two capturing modes available, X2 and X4. In X2 mode, the count register is incremented or decremented on every edge of only one channel. In X4 mode, the count register is updated on every edge of both the channels. This doubles the capture frequency. Here I have used X2 mode with active edges of both the channels as rising edges. Most mechanical encoders do have a problem of debouncing. STM has an internal filter on inputs to reduce noise. STM also offers internal pull up or pull down for GPIOs. I have pulled up both of the timer 1 channels. Keeping all other parameters in default state, I set the counter period to its max value and generated the initialization code for Atollics True Studio with my preferred settings. You can see this nicely generated code. All libraries for timers offer a function to start the timer in chosen encoder mode, and that can be called in the main function. The controller determines the counting direction by looking which input channel pulse is leading, and the direction is made available to the programmer in the timer's direction register. And for now, I'm polling the counter value and its direction of counting, that is up or down, in while loop. After building and flashing the code, I've connected my encoder to the controller and used STM Studio Debugger to visualize all my variables in real time. You can see how the counter value goes up and down based on the polarity of the motor. With almost no lines of code, it works great. You can also count complete rotation by counting the number of opaque slots and playing with the prescaler values. Now, how do you measure the speed? For this, I'll be using timer 3. Configure timer 3 as a slave in reset mode. Once again, ARM architecture has an interesting way to cascade timers. Here in cascading of two timers, one timer can be configured as master and the other as slave, and the master can feed the slave timer through a dedicated input line called trigger output. These input trigger lines are precisely internal to the chip and hardwired between two defined timers. For example, in STM32F4 MCU, timer 1 trigger line is connected to the ITR0 line of timer 3. So choose the trigger source as ITR0. Since we have set timer 3 as slave in reset mode, it resets whenever ITR0 is triggered. Counter value where the reset has occurred can be captured in input capture 1 register. This can be done by setting the channel 1 to input capture triggered by TRC. Since APB1 is already configured to clock at 16 MHz, we'll keep the prescaler at 15 to precisely count 1 microsecond on clock pulse. And set the counter period to its maximum value. Timer 1 can be configured to trigger ITR0 by choosing the trigger event as compare pulse. Since timer 1's channel 1 is the active channel with active edge as rising edge, ITR will be triggered for every rising edge of timer 1. Instead of wasting controller's precious time by polling for ITR0, we will use timer 3 in interrupt mode and later regenerate the code with the changed settings. Now the entire job is just reduced to starting the timer 3 in interrupt mode, which can be done by a single function, and the interrupt is generated whenever the timer resets. And the timer resets whenever there is a rising edge on timer 1's input channel 1. We shall use timer 3 interrupt handler to read timer 3's channel 1 input capture register to a variable named rise. This is in fact the duration for a single square wave, whose frequency would be 1 divided by rise. And now this value can be used to obtain different parameters like RPM and speed. After the code is built and flashed, all my variables can once again be visualized in real time here on STM Studio. And the frequency that the microcontroller calculates matches to what my logic analyzer found. If you have followed this video, you can now work with any kind of incremental rotary encoders and make your own tachometers, flow meters, and also design mechanical user interface for your own products.